Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Keeping Current in Technology panel discussion that we have set up. My name is Jackie Farrell. I am with Farrelly's Wood-Fire Pizza. I am the current CEO and one of the co-founders, and we have had quite a year at Farrelly's in technology. We are by no means the absolute expert or even close to it, but what we have been on is, and that's John Farrell, he's the founder of Farrelly's. Welcome, John. And we've had just an amazing journey this last year of ups, downs, and literally round and around and around and around of figuring out which technology to go with. And before we get too jamming along, I want each of my panelists to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about the journey that they've gone on and what their role is in our company. So let's see. Clayton?
Yeah, hello. I'm Clayton Kruger. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications. I've been in this role for 11 years now. And in that time, we've always been a technology-forward company, at least technology thinking-forward company. Early adopters with social media, and always kind of keeping our eye towards the future with a mind towards how we can better service our customers, either with technology, our internal customers, our employees, and our external customers. So this last year has been a busy one, but it is it's been a long time coming for us to get to this stage. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Perfect. Mike?
Awesome. Hi, I'm Mike Rutledge. I'm the Director of Kitchen Systems for Farrelly's Pizza. My role with technology is I was one that always opposed it and tried to do what we've always done until these last couple of years, seeing the technology that's being offered for the restaurant industry. Now, as the Director of Kitchen Systems, I link how to get ideas from our leadership team of new systems or new technology, how we actually get those into operations and make them better for our business.
Perfect. How about you, Leif?
Leif Magnuson. I started with Farrelly's about 10 months ago now, maybe 11. They brought me on as a consultant to help with lean implementation, just making the operation more efficient. And then we kind of started on the path of identifying key technology spots that we could improve upon. And then we've been doing that ever since.
Okay, great. So welcome to the panel, everybody. And I wanted to start with a couple terms that we're going to be talking about going through this discussion today. And one of the terms we talk about a lot is a legacy system. So Clayton, how do you describe a legacy system?
Well, for us, the main legacy system that we are probably going to be talking about was our point of sale system. And this was a point of sale system that many of you may use or are familiar with. It was a system that we had to invest a lot of money in their hardware and software. And what we've switched to is a cloud-based software, SaaS operating-based software. So I think when we're talking about legacy-based systems, we're talking about systems that have been around for a long time, number one, but number two, are rooted in proprietary hardware. So yeah, that's how I define that. Yeah.
Perfect. And then Leif, will you go into what SaaS is a little bit for us?
I'd love to, yeah. So SaaS in general is that instead of having your data and everything like that stored in the back office on a server, you utilize a web app, you just sign in, like you're going on Facebook, all that information is stored in the cloud. That has a lot of benefits in that they can upgrade the software much more rapidly due to not having to interface with all these different pieces of hardware. So they come out with a lot more updates and upgrades. They're cheaper in the long run oftentimes because you don't have to invest in these hardware upgrades every 3-4 years or whatever they require you to do to stay up to date. And then you can also remote access in. There's none of these barriers to accessing the information that is yours at the end of the day. And it's kind of where everything is going, as in other industries. The restaurant industry is just kind of lagged behind a little bit.
Perfect. And SaaS is service as a software, and generally it's a subscription basis?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so one of our first big switches in technology we did, like they were talking about, and we'll get into a little bit of each of these, the point of sale system, So this year we've gone through a new point of sale system, loyalty, we've created a Pirelli's app, online ordering, delivery through a third-party system. We've developed our own gratuity solution software. It's called Tip House, and developed an API in-house. Payroll and onboarding, we've outsourced that for the first time in our company. It's been really interesting there. We've done a scheduling shift to us. These are all pretty much SaaS systems with the exception of the tipping system. That was developed by Leif and in-house and some really smart dudes writing code, and maybe some girls. Were there any girls?
No, unfortunately.
All right, guest management and Cake, that's table management software. So we're going to start with the basics, which is the point of sale system. And I'd like Mike, our Director of Kitchen Operations, to talk about how did we even come to the conclusion that we needed a new point of sale system?
We came to the conclusion, just like when Clayton was talking about legacy systems, we were at a point in our time in point of sale where we needed to update everything to stay compliant. So we took that opportunity to look to see what else was out there through the lean systems work that we had done, which when we say lean systems, we were trying to identify waste in our operations, and waste was movement. It was extra time. We're constantly battling increasing labor in all departments. So we really wanted to get something that was slick. And a big feature we really wanted was technology in the hands. We wanted handhelds to reduce the amount of travel and wasted movement and time on the floor with our servers. We also wanted really quick reporting and KDS. We wanted kitchen display screens. We wanted them for our expediters, for all of our stations. We needed them to be something that would be a smaller investment up front, and we wouldn't have to worry about the cost of upgrading it as frequently as we had been. So, and I know that Clayton and Leif can add on to that. For me, it was about really getting the information in front of our people. Some examples that we have now that we didn't have before is in the middle of a service shift, lunch or dinner, our managers or even our cooks can pull up a report, a product mix report, seeing what we've done on a certain item that we either need to prep more of or we're good with prepping up for it. It also lets us know based on if you have a really heavy night of sales or a light night of sales, you can make adjustments that night for your openers the next day to work on more of a just-in-time delivery. So we're not over-prepping or under-prepping by using the analytics that's provided daily for us.
Do you have anything to? Yeah.
Yeah. What would
No,
you
that's
like
good.
to? I was, as one of the owners in Pirelli's, to me it was a huge financial investment to switch point of sale systems. Not only was it a big investment, but it's a big time investment too of retraining all of your people, retraining yourself. Big time investment. At the same time where we were considering this move, like Clayton was saying earlier in the discussion, we had a system we were using that was hardware and software based, and they were looking for about a $300,000 upgrade on all of the hardware. So to us at the time, it was starting to make sense to take a look at another system. So Leif, do you want to talk a little bit about how you talked and presented the plan to John and I about looking and thinking about getting a new system?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, the organization before I came on and started analyzing this issue, they were already running into issues and constraints within that old legacy system model. When I came in, I kind of was looking at it from 30,000 feet and just did some basic cost analysis, like, okay, how much money is it going to cost to stay on this system over the next 5 years? How much is it going to cost for us to switch right now? What kind of reductions in cost can we incur down the road due to switching now? And then what kinds of features and added value can we give the customer by making that switch now, which are a little bit harder to quantify. But it ended up being about, it was kind of a wash at the end of the day. Obviously, it's the training, like you mentioned, it can be really hard, especially when your organization has 450 employees, and so those costs and frustration that you kind of create by forcing everybody to switch systems, they can be pretty big.
Yeah, I think it was time for our company, the system that we were using now, with the credit card chip. That is a requirement. I know for sure in our state, I can't speak for other states, but we needed that technology to stay current with the times and stay current with being compliant with all of the laws. The handheld devices at the tables met one of the requirements for our vision statement for the next several years of staying current in technology and keeping up with the times. And Clayton, how did the point of sales affect you when we started thinking about bringing on, the company we're using right now is called Toast. It's a software as a service based system. Did you have anything to add to that part of the combo?
Yeah, I think I do. It gave me a massive amount of anxiety because the reality was the company that we had been using, this legacy-based company, they had everything that we used wrapped up inside of their software. So from my world, the biggest component of that, there's two main components that were huge for me, was gift cards and loyalty. And by far and away, the largest of those for me was the loyalty program, which was a card-based frequency system. And we had 150,000 cards issued to members. And so these are people that we had coming through our doors that we were, sending out emails to and offering deals, and they were accruing points, and it was a big deal. And so my number one question was, because now that's a proprietary loyalty program with the point of sale system that we're now switching from. So what are we going to do now that we're switching to a new system? And so step one was to identify, does this new company that we're taking the closest look at in this process, do they have a loyalty program? Is it robust enough to not only meet the expectations that we've set with our customers now, but does it do things that our current system doesn't do that we wish that it did? Can we segment and target better, for example? Those are the things that we really wanted to be able to do, was to use the purchasing behavior of our customers to better data mine their user behavior and then send them targeted messaging. And that's where we were falling short, but the switching costs were so exponentially high with that legacy system due to the fact that they had all of our different services wrapped up inside of that software. And so when we started talking about this new system, started identifying their strengths and their weaknesses, one of their weaknesses was the loyalty program. So my anxiety that I referenced was simply due to the fact that they did not have a robust enough loyalty program to serve our customers in the way that we wanted to do. So that led me on a journey to identify what we were going to do about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jackie, can I add something?
Sure.
Yeah, I just like that. I didn't say this in the first part. As we switched over 9 brick and mortar restaurants in 7 weeks, and it was very hard. There was lots of friction, and I'm really happy that we did now, but I just wanted to let's be real and honest. It was a big challenge. It took a lot of man hours to make it happen, but we did, and now we're past it and moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. What our advice to everybody out there is before you're in too deep and committed to one system, make sure that you have an exit strategy. Make sure that when you're engaging with the system, that you're constantly aware that technology is changing, and know that there's options out there that I had no idea 2 years ago that software as a service even existed. And so constantly trying to research and surround ourselves with people who know a little bit more about it than we do is part of what the biggest lessons learning this year has been. And then I was wondering, I think maybe the next part of the conversation we'll jump into is a little bit about the loyalty program, because Clayton just referenced it. And we did design a Firelli's app, which we have been trying to do, honestly, for 3 years. And this year we were finally successful. So why don't you share that story?
Yeah, third time's a charm. This is actually our third attempt at putting an app. As a matter of fact, all 3 of them have hit app stores, but this was the one that we finally pushed out to our customers and got behind and promoted. The first one was through our legacy system, and we were probably at the 1-inch line on a football field from pushing it over the goal line when we chose to pursue a new point of sale. So that was another reason for my anxiety is, we've had this goal of pushing out an app, and the app was going to be loyalty based, and also online ordering was the main 2 components. And so for me, we're really close to reaching this goal, and now we're going to switch point of sale systems. So that one's scrapped, so that one's out. And so now, okay, we've got this new point of sale system. Who integrates with this new point of sale system, and what are we going to do there? We started on the path with one company, and they talked a really good game as far as what their service mix was, and it was going well until we identified that what they sold us, or what they claimed to be able to accomplish, they were successful doing with our integrating with the company we had just switched from. Right? So they actually did not have that level of integration yet with the company we switched to. So we got really close to pushing that one out as well, and it just, again, they oversold their capabilities. I think they're probably going to get to where they said they were going to be, and so I have pretty good confidence in that brand, but ultimately they weren't ready for us at that time. So we found kind of in the 11th hour this new brand, and they are called AppFront, listed on the screen there. They're out of Israel, I believe. And so they've got offices in Israel and in Boston. What's really great about that is that there's always someone to talk to. So it's like they never sleep. It's great. So we can always get someone on the phone or an email. And they've just been able to accomplish all of the things that we wanted and have been able to ask for. And if they're not prepared for what we are looking for immediately, they're working on it, and they've got it's on their roadmap, and they're constantly checking back and showing us updates. So really high level of confidence, really exceptional service, and it's given us what I previously mentioned, which was the ability to segment and target users based on their purchase behavior. And more importantly, it's got a built-in communication messaging platform, so I can launch campaigns right through the app, my back-end portal of the app, and I can do that through email, SMS, text, and push notification, and then the rewards and things like that land right on their device. So it's pretty cool, and it's very powerful, and we have not yet leveraged the full power of this, but we're beginning to apply some pretty good pressure on the accelerator pedal, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, one of the things I can tell you about is when you're pushing out a new loyalty program, be very mindful of how much your discounts are going to cost you. The week that we pushed out the loyalty app and the members that we had, it was, 11% discount in some stores, because we had a promo running that week, and then we had, I think we somehow ended up stacking 2 promos and then had a bunch of these loyalty points that came in from migration. So this is one of the things that we learned along the way, is we would be much more mindful of when we pushed it out and make sure that the week that it went out, it wasn't necessarily double stacking different promotions. But we're like racehorses at the track. We're just trying to get everything out, and done. And now kind of 2020 is hindsight type situation. Leif, why don't you talk a little bit about negotiating with the software companies? Because that's been a real interesting part of this journey as well.
Yeah, so the main thing to remember when you're looking at these software packages is that they've got prices oftentimes in their head, or they have it listed out. But as a new customer, bringing you on board doesn't cost them any additional money. So it's just server costs, which are minimal, and then whatever they have to spend for you, like for customer support or getting you integrated or whatever. But it's not a huge amount. So when you're talking to them, okay, is it going to be like $100 a month, $200 a month, or whatever? So you can talk them down more than you would normally think you could. Some organizations are different than others. Some organizations will have like tiers listed out, and they're like very like corporate type setting. Those ones are harder to do to negotiate with, obviously. But then you've got smaller like AppFront, for instance. You could negotiate and get them down based off of those facts. Yeah.
And then how about, so out of Toast, AppFront, all of these softwares up here, how many of those were you able to negotiate down?
Oh, all of them for sure. And then one of the main things, a lot of these companies want to make you sign a contract, and it's like, okay, well, what are you giving me in return for a contract? You want me to sign up for 2 years? But that kind of like defeats the purpose of utilizing SaaS software, because you should be able to just discontinue service, port your information over, and start using another service. And that's so oftentimes you can get away with not signing any contracts as well.
Yeah, that's an awesome point to remember. And then let's jump over to Mike for a minute, because Mike, I want you to talk a little bit to the group about one of the transitions with the point of sale system that we haven't quite decided which direction we're going to go in terms of being paperless or not, but we implemented kitchen display screens in all of our kitchens. So we have paper tickets printing and we have kitchen display screens because we're trying to figure out which way is working better for our company.
Yeah, so with that, so how we're currently operating is we use tickets and kitchen display screens, which if you're going to use tickets, you don't need the screens and vice versa. We're creatures of habit, so it's tough to operate without our tickets and solely use the screens, especially for things like expediting food to our guests. One thing that it's put a spotlight on is our timing in our kitchens. The reason we need tickets on items is because timing's coming up differently. All of our entrees aren't coming up within a agreed upon amount of time, whether that be 1 to 3 minutes. And so the way that we're leaning, a lot of our stores have gone to they just let the tickets print and they utilize the screens unless we need a ticket. And so right now it's a systems thing. We have 2 that work, but we don't want to use both of them. So moving forward, we're really putting the spotlight on how we're going to expedite food without tickets, solely using kitchen display screens, and how we're going to time the items coming up into the window so that it's not costing us 3 times the amount of expediters on the front side of the window trying to sort out food. So it is essentially forcing us to be smoother and operate more efficiently from our kitchen systems.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you just let paper run and don't use tickets, it's going to cost us about $36,000 a year to throw that paper away.
Okay, well that was interesting.
Yeah,
That's a big cost.
it is. Yeah, it is.
Didn't realize it was quite $36,000 a year,
Yeah.
but I'm leaning towards paperless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, all right, good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, does anybody here have restaurants that have tipping in their programs? Couple? So one of the things that in Washington State, the minimum wage is minimum wage is pretty high there. We're currently at $12 an hour right now, and we'll be at $13.50 next year. And they do not consider tips as an income. So we're looking toward a strategy to figure out how do we do tip sharing amongst all of our kitchen artisans, and then we tip share based on their skill level. And this was really important to me because I wanted to make sure that we figure out how to get their wage rate up so that they're being compensated for they're such hard workers and they have such art behind what they do, and I wanted to figure out a way. So Leif, can you talk about the tipping system that you've designed?
Yeah, so I started looking into different tipping softwares in the market last summer. We kind of realized it was devoid of any really good players. So we've been utilizing what's off the shelf for a bit, and then we decided, hey, let's just make our own. Let's just make it custom, so we don't have to hit up against these walls that don't seem to be moving. So one of the key features is that our tipping software directly connects with the POS. It will run any kind of equations you want it to run and distribute to whatever parties you want based off of the time of day. So you can you've got the freedom to do whatever you want, and it's all automated, and then it'll create a report at the end of the day and you can send that to your payroll or your accounting team if you've got one.
Yeah, it was one of the voids in the market that we identified. We used 2 or 3 different tip type software services, and they were just really basic and they wouldn't do what we wanted to do. So we decided to think outside the box, and Leif knew some folks, and we've been working really hard to try and develop a software that works for us. And then Leif, could you also explain what an API is and why that will be useful?
Yeah, so we're developing an API specifically for the Forelli's brand to give them the ability to harvest all the data that all these other companies. So, for instance, you're working with a loyalty company. If you don't have your own API, they basically can control all of your data. And so by having the API, we can integrate or force connections with companies that wouldn't normally have a connection with the point of sale that we're utilizing. So we could approach these third-party software companies and be like, hey, look, could we just build a connection out to you? If they've got an open API, we've already got ours there, and that connection can happen.
And what was the question?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
What do the initials stand for?
Something
we'll let you know.
interface.
It's application. Application interface.
Yeah.
There, see,
Boom.
we should.
Great question, John.
Great answer. Great question.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I'm not the best at acronyms, but I can make good pizza. So there you have it. Okay, so why don't we go a little bit jumping around here. I want to talk about the decision. How many of you guys have been faced with third-party delivery systems? And kind of thinking about that a little bit here and there. Yeah, us too. We have just been like around the mountain with that. So Clayton, you want to share our story?
Sure. As you guys know, that's a ginormous trend. And I guess the story starts with the fact that we have not been a delivery concept. We are an artisan pizza concept, and we just identified very early in our concept that our pizza doesn't travel well. We charge what we need to charge for our pizza, and we just kind of weren't proud to put our pizza in front of a delivery customer. And just kind of for the value proposition, we didn't feel like it was there. So we opted not to be a delivery concept. And, fast forward to the past several years when these third-party delivery concepts have really infiltrated our market space. They might have come to your region sooner than us. We're up in Washington State and not even in the metro area of Seattle necessarily. We're on the outskirts. And so when these players started entering our space, we really had to kind of decide what to do because the customer demand was there, and you've got your customers coming into your restaurant, and instead they're opting to eat your competitors on their couch, And so, all right, so what are we going to do about that? So we dipped our toe in a little bit, and we started with Uber Eats, and frankly, good initial experience, other than the fact that they were very difficult, if not impossible, to negotiate with. And so we kind of knew that was the case. But at the time, we didn't have another major player that could service all of our restaurants, and around all of our stores. And that's, from a brand perspective, we really wanted that because we wanted to be able to say, as a company, put out a promotion that says, we now deliver through this. Here's the link, as opposed to this store does this and this one does this and, yada, yada. So fast forward another year and DoorDash entered our space. And they came to the table really hard. Now, one of the things that they did, which I'm sure all of you will be very familiar with, this tactic, is that all of a sudden you just start receiving calls for DoorDash orders, even though you have no contract with them whatsoever. You have no agreement with DoorDash whatsoever. You're just getting DoorDash drivers showing up to pick up orders. And so we're observing this trend, and we had a couple of thoughts. Thought number one is, that's kind of annoying. Thought number two is, hey, well, at least we're getting 100% of the transaction value. That's cool because we're not getting 100% of the Uber Eats transaction value. That's for darn sure. So we just kind of let that go for a while and like, all right, well, at least we're getting some, this is happening. But what we observed was that we started seeing more and more red bags walking through the door than we did green bags. And we thought to ourselves, hey, you know what? It's time that we go to these guys and really sit down. And at the same time, they were coming to us. I was down here, it was actually a year ago, almost to the day. Their West Coast representative found me after a seminar here, and she said, listen, we really want you guys on the platform. And we had a kind of funny discussion, and it led to a deeper discussion, and now we are integrated very deeply with them, and it's been a great partnership. We canceled our agreement with Uber Eats and sent back all their tablets, and we now have an exclusive partnership with DoorDash. And I say exclusive, not because that's what they're requiring from us, but because it's what we are able to manage. So we've had other brands come in, like Postmates, for example, and try to do the same thing that DoorDash was doing, where they're just sending orders and drivers to us. The problem is, when you don't partner with these brands, they're putting some outdated menu of yours on their platform. They're putting outdated pricing on there. We may or may not even sell that item anymore. And it causes a ton of friction for us. It causes a ton of friction for that guest. And so, I reached out to Postmates and I said, we'd very kindly like to be removed from your platform. They said that would be the case. And then a couple weeks later, we got some more orders that came through from them. And so I've now had to get a little bit more stern. The only reason why that's the case is because we want to be able to wrap our hands around it and manage it. And when you think about managing third party, you've got to consider the people that are coming into your restaurant. You've got these people that are coming there that you want to provide a top quality experience to. And then you've got people that are out in the ether that are ordering your food. And sometimes if you get this big wave of those people, it comes at the cost of creating a great experience inside of your store for the people who have taken the time to come and sit and spend their hard-earned money with you to have an experience. So for us, it's really important that we manage that relationship, that partnership, and we don't take on more, we don't bite off more than we can chew, that it doesn't,
What does the technology look like in the store? Like what happens at store level?
Well, so thank you. At the store level currently, we started with DoorDash with a tablet because DoorDash did not have a direct integration with our current POS provider, which is Toast, although they are working on it, and that will be a good day. However, there are other intermediaries that you can use. An example would be a company called Chowly, and that is a third-party aggregator. Chowly really makes a lot of sense if you are partnering with multiple platforms. Say, for example, Uber Eats, Postmates, and DoorDash. Let's say you were on all three of those. Okay, now you've got Chowly just funneling those in and spitting them out on your POS. That'd be great. We don't want to be on three different platforms. We want to be on one. So we're just looking for that direct integration with Toast between DoorDash. It's not there yet. So what we did instead, so to answer your question, when the orders come through through the DoorDash app, they come through on a tablet. Person up front needs to then transpose that to our POS, print the ticket. That's kind of a pain in the butt. And what I'm told from our operators is that sometimes when we pause service, because you can temporarily deactivate DoorDash orders from coming in. Oftentimes, the reason why they do that isn't because the kitchen is backed up. It's because they don't want their hostess or host distracted from taking care of the people in their foyer. And so they just say, hey, you know what, the host is overwhelmed. We're going to pause service. So really, that's one of the main hiccups is this tablet to POS human transfer. How we've gone about dealing with that is we went to their direct integration service called Drive. So DoorDash has a product called Drive. And if you look at restaurants, for example, BJ's Brewhouse, and you go on their app and you order delivery on their app, it looks like you're just on BJ's app, and you are just on BJ's app, and you select delivery. What happens is it pings a driver at DoorDash to deliver your order. We have the exact same service now. What's really cool about that was that since it's coming through our own online ordering platform, not only through our website, but also on our app, first of all, the customer never leaves our platform, but second of all, the tickets print right on our POS. There's no more human transposing. So that's been really cool. We're seeing, we're not needing to shut off the service anymore. So now we've just got a revenue stream. The other cool thing is that it's directly integrated with our loyalty program. So those customers are earning their points. They're redeeming their rewards if they have them. So it's pretty slick, and we're pretty excited about it.
Thank you. That was a good explanation. And one of those things, Uber that was a hard pill to swallow. You do an extra 30,000 in sales and you're writing a check out for 10 grand. That was just that didn't make any business sense to us. It just did not match. We were busy not making money doing that. So not a huge point there. And then with Clayton, correct me if I'm wrong, but with Appfront, it's closer to, instead of a 30% take rate, it's not Appfront, DoorDash, it's about a 15% rate. And then can you also share with them the different option of a one set fee?
Yeah, so when we first partnered with DoorDash, we didn't have that direct integration with our app. And so we were dealing with there's different areas of DoorDash that you deal with for their different services. The first one we dealt with was their merchant portal people. And so how that works is that you pay one rate if DoorDash sends you the customer. So if the customer comes to you through DoorDash, you're paying up here. Now, if you push the order to DoorDash, so the link through your own website or through your own social media or whatever, you're paying this rate down here. And so the idea is that if you can increase the amount of people using your own links through, marketing, then you can kind of get that rate to meet somewhere in the middle. For us, that meant about a 15% rate. With this new Drive partnership that we've done with them, it's a different model entirely. It's a flat delivery fee per order. So it doesn't matter how much the guest orders, they're going to charge us in this particular case, it's $6.99 per order. Our option is twofold. One, we can set an order minimum so that the rate is something we're comfortable with. And the second thing that we can do is we can levy a service charge against the customer that we get to keep. And so that's what we've done. We've done both of those things. We've set an order minimum of $25, and we've levied a $3.99 service charge. And so what that means is that those deliveries, flat fee, cost us $3. Now, our takeout orders, our delivery orders are averaging a little over $32 currently. So $3 on $32 is sub 10%. That's good, and we're very comfortable with that.
Perfect. Nice. Does anybody have any questions about that? Let's see.
Don, that's
I
you.
think right over there was first.
That's you, Don. That's you.
Want to run over? There you go. What was?
He didn't know. He didn't know he was supposed to be ready yet.
That's right. Keeping him awake.
Yeah, that's good.
Is it on? Okay. So what was Drive? I have Toast, and I'm considering Uber Eats, just the same exact stuff that you guys have already gone through. So is Drive part of DoorDash?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. And yeah, we just started that conversation with them that, hey, look, we're trying to be first of all, the main conversation that we had with them is that we need this to print up on our point of sale system. We need to not have the transposition of orders happening here. And that's how we got kind of pointed to their Drive. And that's, not only did that solve the problem of the transposition, but frankly, it's just a better model. We want people on our own platform. We don't want them to be sending people away from our own assets and our own, ecosystem. So for us, that was a no-brainer. It's what we were trying to get to. We just didn't even know that it was an option for us to do. Frankly, I thought that was like the big dogs, like BJ's Brewhouse has like 200 plus locations or whatever, and it's like, well, that's outside of our reach. They've got some big, buying power, purchasing power, whatever. No, it's a service that you can just actually subscribe to, and it's a pretty cool thing. I think it's relatively new, and that's just kind of the main hurdle is they don't have a lot of people out there representing it, selling it. But we were fortunate enough to develop a decent relationship with our account representatives, and they got us in touch with the right people over there.
I'd also like to add that the way that we're able to integrate those orders directly into the POS is through AppFront.
Correct.
So AppFront takes those orders that are placed in their app or our app, and then they put them directly onto the KDS itself. So they're handling
Right.
that logistic, I guess.
Yeah, that's our online ordering platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I use Toast for my online ordering, and I use the same, kitchen screen displays that you guys, and all the expediting and that stuff. So do I need to create my own app like you guys did, or am I good just using AppFront, DoorDash, and all that stuff?
You'd have to go through AppFront, which would mean
Okay.
that they would create, that their software is basically, hey, here's an app for you, all your online ordering, all that kind of stuff. You've got it on your PC as well, that kind of thing.
That being said, sorry, I didn't cut you up. That being said, DoorDash and Toast are working on that direct integration right now. They've already signed their agreements. They're getting their APIs to talk to one another. So it's only a matter of months. I think they were talking Q2 before Toast and DoorDash are directly able to send orders right to your KDS.
You could also use that Chowly like you mentioned earlier.
Okay, thank you very much.
And we've got some questions back there, Don. We like to keep Don moving around.
Yeah.
Donaldo.
Don's our local firefighter, and also my husband. Thank you, Don.
Hello.
Hello.
Very nice presentation. I did have a question. Before you guys migrated over to the DoorDash platform that's right on your website, and I just used it, it's really slick, just right now on my phone. Did you all look at developing your own, with a third-party vendor, your own online ordering system from scratch?
Originally, we had online ordering with our legacy POS system that we were using. So we had actually had launched online ordering several years ago. And then so we lost that. That's one of the things that we lost as a part of that transition. Toast, as that gentleman mentioned over there, also has its own online ordering platform. But for us, we needed some higher levels of integration, and that's what this AppFront app was able to bring to the table. Because what Toast does not have is they do not have an app. And so that was part of our kind of initiative this year, was to have an app. It was something that the most valuable real estate nowadays isn't like 123 Main Street, it's home screen, so for us that was a big deal. And that's ultimately how we found AppFront.
Okay. And I had one more question. Thank you very much. You were on with Uber Eats, and then when you decided to just move off of that and go exclusively with DoorDash and have the integration to your website where they're utilizing all your assets to get the online ordering, when you all made that decision, how long did it take to get it fully functional?
From Uber Eats to DoorDash?
From DoorDash, from
Uber Eats to DoorDash. How long did it?
From telling DoorDash that you want to go in this direction. Before they got it.
Really fast. Because DoorDash was already sending people our direction. And they really wanted us to be on their platform. So it was just a matter of us saying, okay, we're ready to come to the table and play ball. And they were ready for that level of business. As far as turning off Uber Eats and sending them back some tablets, that's what it looked like. It was, okay, we're done with these. How do we ship them back? Where do we ship these things to? We're done with them. And that was that. So, yeah.
Good afternoon, guys. It was great talking with you earlier in the cafeteria area. But I have a two-part question. The first part is you indicated early on that your products weren't really conducive to delivery. So did you make some modifications or change up the menu in order to make that happen? The second part of the question is, since you've been successful apparently with DoorDash, are you considering implementing your own in-house delivery?
Mike, you want to field that one?
Yeah. So, and I heard two parts there. The product quality when it reaches or when it arrives at the guest from a delivery. That was the first one, right? So I'll field that one. The biggest part was our wood-fired pizza. And the steam that was created within the pizza box. Since we didn't do delivery, we never spent a whole lot of time researching different things that could help that. We actually tackled that with just takeout being on the rise over the last 5 to 8 years of our business. We use something called the Perfect Crust Liner, which fixed that, and we fixed that a long time ago. A big thing with not offering delivery was the amount of volume it put on. I talked about this earlier in a course. We were a little limited by pushing out delivery during our busy service hours just due to the oven space that we had to cook our pizzas. So the pizza steaming in the box we fixed with a liner that kept the crust nice and crispy and kept it from steaming and getting wet. And then we had to take a look at every item on our menu, and we don't offer things, and I think there's only about 5 to 8 items out of our 70 items on our menu that we don't offer to go. We don't offer for delivery or for takeout because we haven't found a system yet that is going to allow us to deliver that product 20 to 30 minutes after it's been made at the quality we want. And a simple example that we have is nachos. We still can't get the nachos to the guest 30 minutes later without the chips being soggy. And one of Jackie and I spoke the last couple of weeks. One of our big focuses at the expo this year is we're gonna talk to the companies that are out there helping businesses with third-party delivery and with takeout containers, because we want our product getting to the guests the absolute best we can do it. And so that was the first question. Did that answer your first question? And then the in-house delivery. We were never a operation that thought too much about delivery until really third-party and online ordering and things like that came into the market. We always really focused on the guest sitting in our dining room, and used all our resources to keep our speed of service and our turn times as fast as we could. So now, 2017 is when it really started hitting our market, and where we're at in 2019. This is how far we've come. And just like I said about changing over a point of sale, going to third-party delivery and figuring out the operations in the restaurant was a big challenge. I got a couple of our regional managers that are sitting in the front row that will say that it was very tough. There was a lot of things that didn't go super smooth, but we were able to talk and communicate and get it out to our guests the best that we could. So
Paper costs.
Yeah. Oh, and it grossly affects our paper costs. We got to look at our model with the amount of it used to be 4% of our business was takeout, and then you had your disposables that you would use within the restaurant. Now we're approaching 12-15% for us. That's really big. That number has spiked, and it's not going anywhere. From all the research that we've done, we can see third-party delivery and takeout going up for our model 25%, doubling from where it's at now, even up to 30 with the amount of research being done on people that are using third-party deliveries for convenience.
Is there another question? Oh, go ahead.
Question, can you hear me? Okay, how long have you been using DoorDash?
The question, how long have we been using DoorDash?
I think we officially launched DoorDash in December. Maybe October. I'm not. I don't remember if it was October or December.
Okay, because I've been working with them for like 3 months now.
Yeah.
The problem I have, I'm like real anal about how my product comes out. They got any Joe Smo comes in and pick food with those red bags.
Oh, can't quite hear you.
We're in pizza.
There you go.
Pizza business.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just talk.
There you go.
Pizza business, and I got Joe Smo coming in to pick up with this red bag.
Yeah.
And they take the pizza and they cook it like a book. The cheese goes down. It gets to the customer. You guys getting bad feedback on that? Because I was really feel bad about that.
Yeah, so we have received the occasional bad feedback. As you know, you're getting feedback from every single angle now. You know, everyone used to be, you know, for lack of a better word, upset about Yelp, but you know, good were the days when you only had to look at Yelp. Now it's just coming in from all angles, right? And not to mention their own channels, so you can get some reports from DoorDash on people that comment there on the quality of the food that was delivered there. It's up to you and us to manage that. It's up to you and us to educate those drivers that may or may not be familiar with how to hold a pizza box, which should seem super simple.
But they come with these little red bags.
Right.
They're not pizza bags.
No, totally.
I'm in the delivery business.
Right.
It's not.
No,
I like it because I get 100% of the money. I like that.
Yeah.
But I don't like the way the product looks out of my restaurant.
Here's the thing that we had to kind of get over, because again, that was the whole reason why we didn't deliver ourselves for many, many years, is we weren't pleased about the value proposition to the final guest since our inception. We didn't feel like it was there. What we've learned through third-party delivery, exploding in these past several years, is that it's not about what we think. It's about what the customer wants. And what the customer wants is to purchase our pizza through the app at their house. And so they're going to, if it's not through us, it's a competitor. And so we had to make the decision, hey, we want to play there. We want our pizza in their home. We'd rather them be in our restaurant. We'd rather be providing an experience to them. One thing that I think gets a little bit lost in the title of this seminar is the fact that we are not a technology company. You've got other pizza players in the industry. One of them looks like a Domino, that claim to be a tech company. They're not even a pizza company. They're a tech company. And what I would tell you is that we're not even a pizza company. We're a people company. And so for us, that's the main thing here, is how can we utilize technology to serve people? And so we thought that people wouldn't appreciate our pizza being delivered to them for the price that we charge for our pizza, that we feel that we need to charge for our pizza. And it turns out we were wrong. Not only did they want to purchase it at that price, they're willing to pay a delivery fee on top of that to get it to their home. So it was that had to change our perception. And so to your question of how do we deal with, uneducated drivers and things like that, it's one interaction at a time, one human interaction at a time.
One of the strategies we were thinking about implementing also was giving the drivers a free breadstick or a free sample of something in-house so that they're motivated to get to our stores quicker, and that we're creating a partnership with the individual drivers themselves so they have a little bit of incentive, a little bit of skin in the game, and they want to make us happy so that our guests will be happy. So we're just trying little different techniques or tools, and no, we have not gotten all of them implemented in every store, and we are, our whole entire company basically is a test field for technology right now.
Jackie, Mike just reminded me something about that. Do you mind if I add in?
No.
He was saying too, this is an example, is we dictated where those drivers are going to park. We've put up some parking signs dedicated to the DoorDash drivers, like park here. We don't want you taking up our prime spots. We want you, we want you parking over here. And we also set up in the through DoorDash themselves notes to the drivers that say, do not enter the premises until the delivered time, until the time that it says the order was ready to be picked up. Unless we hit on that tablet, order's ready, then they can enter the thing. We did that because we don't want to overcrowd. We don't have huge like entryways and foyers in our establishments, and we didn't want our actual customers walking through the door and being behind a sea of drivers, you know, and we couldn't see them and acknowledge them right away. I mean, that's huge. When people walk through your doors, you got eye contact. Hey, welcome. We're so glad you're here. That's the type of business we are. And so we didn't want these drivers keeping us from being able to have that immediate connection with our actual guests walking through the door. So you set up these parameters. Does it work? No, we still have drivers that are coming through the door, and then we just got to remind them, hey, did you see the thing on the thing? You weren't supposed to come in. It's not ready. We didn't tell you it was ready. So, but that's, you know, we're training these people over time. At the end of the day, there's only X amount of them in our region, so we can over time talk to the majority of these people and educate these people. It's going to take time, but we're working on it. You know, working on it.
And speaking of time, I'm going to scoot along just for a minute before we do any more questions, because I do want Mike to talk a little bit about our scheduling software that we've recently just started. It's called 7 Shifts.
Yeah, scheduling and utilizing the technology out there with scheduling has been huge. This will be I believe our 4th scheduling third party that we've used in the last 4 to 5 years, and all of them have benefits to help you with your business. A big part that we had with our point of sale change is we needed things to talk to each other correctly. Also, this isn't on here, but we were using a different payroll system too, so we kind of had a little more flexibility. But a big challenge that we have facing us in the future is scheduling out to be compliant. You know, we need 2 weeks out of scheduling. We also need some great things about 7 Shifts, who we're just in the process of launching as a company. Is it's super slick. It does a lot of the work. You know, it takes your scheduling trends and it predicts what a schedule will look like based on your projected sales for the following week. It doesn't make your schedule for you. It says, hey, these are the shifts that you should be running. And actually, this one you should change, have them called off until 5 o'clock because last week you held them off and the sales weren't there. And so it's, and we've used a lot of slick scheduling softwares. And this one is just the one that's going to get us to our next spot. And like I said, with going through 4 in the last 5 years, you know, this one is going to work. This one works today. We're really excited about it to get us to where we need to go next. And who knows, technology, I referenced this earlier, technology is evolving every 71 days. I mean, we went to the Innovation Summit for the Restaurant Association, and that's what they're telling us. And that's confirmed with how often a new cell phone comes out, how often an update comes out. So really, I'm here to say, make sure that you're looking at which technology can best serve you and add value to your guests. And yeah, it's pretty much, you have anything to add on the...
Well, when I hear Mike say that, what I think to myself is, I went to a food service technology conference back in 2016, and one of the biggest takeaways that I took away from that conference was the idea of a technology roadmap and charting out what you're going to need when you're going to need it. And you got to obviously leave room for adaptation, right? Because it changes so fast. But the idea is that you try not to get into technology debt. You try not to invest into systems that are going to hold you back in the future. You know, these systems need to get you. You said it right. They need to get you to the next step. They need to serve a purpose to get you to the next step. But you got to ultimately know where you're headed. And so a technology roadmap is a really great tool to leverage.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things that a lesson learned is to fail quick and fast. One of the companies that we were using for scheduling, it will cost us, it may or may not, depending on how we can negotiate out of the contract. But let's say worst case scenario, it'll cost us $7,000 to not get out of a contract. But the 7 Shifts will be able to save us money in the long run because it prevents employees from being able to sign in more than 5 minutes before their scheduled shift. So there's pros and cons to everything, and you have to kind of outweigh your services when you're making those decisions. And then, Leif, will you go into what table mapping software is? Because this is one thing that we've tried in a singular store, and it's been pretty interesting so far.
Yeah, it's been very useful. So the way that the hosts had been doing it before is, you know, the guests would walk in, they'd have some pieces of paper laminated, and they'd draw on it and, you know, assign guests seats that way. So this software does not currently integrate with our POS. So it's just kind of a side thing that we've got going on. But we provided our hosts with an iPad, and when a guest comes in, it's just as exactly the way you'd think it'd work. You just assign the guest the amount of people sitting at the table. It's got a wait list. it also integrates with Google right away. So as soon as you get set up, people can start making reservations after they Google your name, your restaurant's name online. So that was, very helpful, getting some more people in the door. But yeah, it's really easy to implement.
You told me that it increased or decreased the time between a table wait by 5 minutes for a busser, or what was the analytics on it?
Exactly. So you've got one iPad up at the host stand. When guests get finished eating, though, since it doesn't communicate with the POS right now, a certain period of time can go by before that host knows when that table is ready to go. So what we've done, we've given little iPads to the bussers. And so when the busser comes over, cleans that table off, they can click on that table, say it's ready to go, and then the host knows right away. We've got a line of 20 people out there. They can send them over to their seat right away.
Yeah, if we can use technology to help save steps with human beings while not taking away a human experience, that's what our goal is with technology within our business.
Yeah.
And John is dying to say something. What?
Just the last word.
Oh, you want the last word?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So knowing that, so online ordering, table
fair.
mapping, onboarding,
fair.
scheduling, what?
I said that's fair.
Payroll. We outsourced our payroll this year. We used a company called Paycom. What the big benefit for us on this situation was all of the compliance issues that came along with doing in-house payroll. We've now set that burden onto somebody else as long as we're giving them good information. You don't want garbage in, garbage out. So we make sure that our information is very, very accurate. We give them the proper payroll information, and they're taking responsibility of doing that. A beautiful benefit of that is that we are now a 100% direct deposit company, which has never happened before in our history. And that's huge. That means that our checks aren't out there anymore with routing numbers and bank account numbers on them. And I don't know if any of you guys have had folks try to replicate your bank accounts, but it's a huge pain in the tush. So those are the basic systems that we've been through, and I want to make sure that we have time to answer any more questions that we've got out there in case we didn't touch. Oh, there you go.
You're up, Don.
Do you accept delivery orders over the phone? If you do, how do you manage them?
Do we accept delivery orders over the phone, and
Yeah.
how do we manage them?
Yeah, so we currently do. The host will just answer the phone, and while they're on the phone, they'll just input the order on the POS, the ordering system, just as if the customer was there.
How do you dispatch it? Is it not going to
Pickup, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
We
I see what you're saying,
absolutely-
yeah.
Customers call, they place their order on the phone, the person rings the order into the point of sale system. One of the early decisions that we made in our concept was to do fresh Parmesan cheese on every pizza. That way, it forces the crew member to open up the box, make sure that it's the right pizza in front of the guest, put the Parmesan cheese on it, and then they check off that order, and it's 100%. We keep the money 100%. We're not sharing that with anybody else, but we love call your order in.
So how do you dispatch the call-in orders to DoorDash?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
oh,
Yeah,
I'm
we don't.
sorry.
I misheard you. Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry.
don't do that right
do
now.
that.
It's impossible.
We direct them to our website.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if they call and they want a delivery, we just direct them to our website. Yeah.
I have a question. With kind of follow up with the online, or not the online, but like a carryout order. So like, let's say I want to do a carryout order and I want to use my app. Do I still get pinged the $3.95? How does that? I mean, do you still get charged?
No. You don't pay any additional delivery fee. That delivery fee, it's a delivery fee is what it's indicated as, and that only shows up if you hit the actual delivery option. So step one, when they go to our app and they hit order, it asks them, the very first thing it asks them is delivery or carry out. And if they go down the delivery track, that's where they get the $3.99 fee at the end. If they go down the carry out track, no fee.
And I would recommend you could download the app too, Frelli's Pizza. It's in the Play Store and the
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Just
Yeah,
check it out.
yeah, good.
You can
That's
see
good,
functionality
yeah.
and all that.
Do we have any other questions? Oh,
How do you control your inventory with the POS system?
how do we control our inventory with the POS system? And this is a cool question, and we got ourselves a cool answer. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so What's not on there is a new inventory system that we just launched 2 of our restaurants on this morning, and it's going well. But what we did was we were within our 9 restaurants, we had 2 different inventory systems. One of them was provided through our food distributor, which was really good because it really kept our value current in our systems as far as how much we were paying, because it talked directly to who was selling us our food. The other one we used was great for menu costing. It had a lot more functions. So we went out and looked at a couple of different inventory systems that would work. Basically, what we wanted was great value. We needed to make sure we had accurate value within our stores every Monday when we count inventory. We needed to be able to house all of our recipes and costing information within that inventory, and we needed to get a variance report. We needed to know at the end of the week when our food cost percentage was high, we could drill down on items and look at our beginning count, our purchases, and our ending count. The inventory that we're using is Toast. It is not the perfect inventory system, but it works great right now, and it's got a lot of interesting updates coming that I'm very excited about. But it is giving us an accurate variance report on our items. So at the end of every Monday, I can look through our top 10 items, and that's what I'm really focusing on right now as we dial it in. Inventory on pizzas with half and halves. We do half and halves, any pizza you want. Different bases. We have 31 different modifier categories. If you've ever set up like menu mapping and inventory, that's a huge challenge. We have a group of 3 that have been working on it for a couple of months. So that's how we're managing it right now. And we're looking, right now we have 3 of our stores launched on it. We're looking to have the rest of the stores launched in the next 2 months. What we want to do is after we get our initial 3, because the thing is with our inventory system, you need data, you need information. I need my smartest people, my managers that specialize in inventory for their departments, working with it weekly and letting us know, hey, I'm getting something, something's off right here, so we can dive into it. Because in our current inventory system for food, we have 330 food items. We have 71 recipes. 50 of those recipes have 3 sizes. And out of 30 of those 50 recipes, you can do half and half on. That's really what we're facing. And that's the reason we've never had a solid inventory system that was able to give us a variance, because we've never had something that talked to our point of sale. It's the whole thing with technology and things talking to each other the way that you need them to. And that's that's where we've had a lot of fails, is we've met with companies and tried companies, and it's like, look, they're not talking the way that we need them to. And so we opted to go with our point of sales inventory system that's very young, but it's doing exactly what we need it to do right now. And they're looking at, with the SaaS operations, they have updates and things that pop up every month that say, hey, this is in beta. We have this, one thing just really cool, item production, so we have our McNamara's Pub, which does a lot of burgers, and they have this is one of the newest updates. When burgers get ordered, on the bottom of the KDS screens, it says, hey, you have 10 burger patties up right now on all of your tickets. So it's just one new feature that's in beta, and it's like, wow, that really helps our guy on the grill. For Frielli's, we use it for things like our pan pizza, orders of breadsticks, key appetizers. So when we only have 14 orders on our KDS. Some nights we'll have over 30 tickets up. So being able to know in a station with high moving items, hey, you have 11 breadsticks. Let's just start getting them out to clear those tickets. So hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
At the same time, you have to integrate it with the Toast engine, it's your inventory then. You have to integrate it, they have to talk to each other.
Yeah, the Toast
integration with Toast is the question.
Yeah, it's a module. So we paid it's a very affordable partnership to add the Toast inventory module, and it sits on the dashboard of our Toast reporting, of our POS reporting. So I can look through guest feedback, look through a product mix, look through menu costing, look through variance. Yeah, sales. I mean, every report that your point of sale has is now attached to your inventory, which is, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever operated with systems that you literally have to log out and go to different websites and log in to get information. So we're trying to get as much of that, whether it be the point of sale system or another one, to talk directly and to report on a dashboard. So we have more information as fast as, as fast as we can get it.
Definitely. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Oh, we got one back there.
Okay.
So what made us choose Toast over any other POS system? Leif, do you want to answer that one?
Love to. Yeah, so it was a really long, process to kind of vet out these different providers because, they all say they can do everything and they promise you the world, and then you get into it, it's like, oh, well, here's a caveat or whatever. So we spent about 6 weeks, lined up like 3 or 4 of the ones that were, the most investment, how big are their teams, what's the ratio of salespeople to development, things like that you would look at it and like just a company, an overall holistic company level. And then once I found those ones, I just created a spreadsheet. Hey, these are all the list of features. Check here, check here, check here, check here, and then calling each one of those, their sales rep that you're dealing with, calling them, having a conversation, getting some feedback, and then going back to that same sales rep as you talk to the other competitors in the market and understanding, hey, well, the competitor just told me that they actually don't do this, and then I didn't think to ask the first rep that question, so I'll go back, call him, figure that out. But it's just constant back and forth until you feel extremely confident that this giant move that you're about to make is going to make sense for the organization long term, and you're not going to run into these walls that you can't move through. For us, and I think the rest of the pizza community, it's really hard to get a POS to work with pizza just because there's a ton of variations involved with it. And so the way we rolled it out is we picked one location and launched the POS there, and gave ourselves enough time to refine the menu, because it's like, we had to sit there and start from scratch basically because they didn't do exactly what we wanted it to do. So I think we recreated the menu 3 or 4 different times. It took us, I couldn't even estimate the amount of man hours it took, but it was intense. And so, at the beginning of that process, I called the Toast corporate guys. I'm like, hey, I know you've got other pizza restaurants that are doing this, so they'd send me the menus that were created from these other guys in the industry. Take a look at that, how it's structured, maybe make some changes, but it gave us ideas on how we could structure our menus.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I think it went down, it was between 2 companies in the very end that were really close, and we went with Toast because we also had another business operator that good friends with, and we respect how they run their business. It's not a pizza operation, and they had implemented Toast about 3 or 4 months before, and it seemed to be going pretty well for them. And I thought, that's where, and I think Mike and Clayton, it was instinct and gut, and kind of just after Leif did all the analytics and the presentations, and John, what was your? This is John
I just
Farrell.
wanted an opportunity because I'm sitting here, the old man who doesn't do much anymore.
Oh, that's not true.
Well, anyway, I'm so proud of these guys. I was at an event a couple nights ago and I realized something. So you guys are all probably wondering, Varela, how in the hell did you find 3 geniuses to help you like this? I mean, these guys just aren't out there. And I want to tell you that we grew them from 15-year-old. We met Leif when he graduated from college about 40, 50 years ago. That's miles that he's got on. And remembered that he was a lean person and could help us. And probably, 8, 9 years later, we gave you a call.
Yeah.
And you can grow your company and grow these geniuses the same way we did, and the key word is trust. You've got young people working for you that have all the capabilities that these guys have. And I just want you to know that if you trust them, They will take your company to where our company is. I'm so proud of these guys. And my daughter Jackie, I begged her when she graduated from college, she was about 3 years out, and I begged her, just give me 6 months. Help me get this pizza concept going. And I mean, these guys built this $20 million a year pizza company, and I'm real proud of them, and I want you to know that you can do it too. Trust.
Aw, thanks.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Dad. All right. So I think that just about wraps